Yeah, but I guess we should like move on to In the Desert now.
Yeah.
So that's like here starts the part that you actually liked, or
Um,
that you liked the most about the book.
and this is what I cannot wrap my head around. This book is, fragmented to some extent. And there are stories in which I like some quotes, some ideas, some paragraphs that I do not like. So I cannot really make a judgment where in the book I began to like it that much. But what I have to say, and what I want to say, is that it's In the Desert. Wait, what's the name of the chapter? In the Desert. Yeah. So in the chapter In the Desert, that's really a chapter that, to some extent, it fulfills that narrative of chronological story more. It sort of describes the moment and it progresses somewhere. And towards the end, okay, so just a brief overview. What happens? They're flying in a plane and then they crash and
No, that's at the heart of the desert.
oh, so In the Desert it's a different chapter?
Yeah.
Oh my god, at the heart of the desert. Who names two chapters in within the same book almost in the same way?
And that's why you have notes.
I don't. I have them in my head.
Great notes in your head.
At the heart of the desert,
Yeah.
in the desert. Oh, that's the one with a slave.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So, what can you tell us about the chapter?
Your excitement dropped noticeably.
No, it's okay. I don't know. Like, I just really like In the Heart of the Desert. That's what I just love from the book. And when you have a part of the book that you really love, the others just sort of become comparatively worse.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So what do you think about the chapter?
So during this chapter, like the main focus, but I think not the only thing that happens there, is a storyline of a slave who is owned by one of those nomadic tribes in the North African desert.
Sahara.
Yeah. And so it's like the Western Sahara, where they are. So they're at an outpost, and like the slave asks him every day again and again to like please take him with him in the plane, and he says like it wouldn't be a problem to like just put me in the plane, take me with you. He wants to escape his captivity. He wants to be man again. And yet it talks about like those like the way slavery can crush people, and how this person has kept his spirits to some extent intact, and how he has stayed Muhammad and not become, what was the name again, Bark? It was a really weird thing, apparently a name they give all slaves.
Yeah.
Well, they have given all slaves at that point in time in that region.
Yeah, Bark.
Of Africa, Bark. Yeah.
Well, I can talk about the ending of the whole story and the sort of middle. So, Exupéry, he manages to buy him out, and then sends him. Okay, he flies him somewhere, and then he.
No, it's actually not he himself, like a colleague of his, but yeah.
Okay, that's a detail. But anyways, the guy tries to get back to his family, and they give him some money.
1,000 francs. Yeah.
1,000 francs. Okay, you know the details. Because they know if he comes back without anything, then he's just gonna go back to poverty, and presumably he's gonna end up where he ended up at the first place.
They want to give him dignity. Like that's I think that's like
Uh,
probably the most important thing for de Saint-Exupéry, like this notion of dignity, of like living a dignified life.
yeah, and there's a nice quote that says basically the empire of man lies within a man, which basically means dignity, respect towards ourselves, towards myself, uh, believing in myself. What we can see right now, motivation quotes, believe in yourself, work on yourself, and all of this. It's what is important is not what's around us. What defines is within us. And the story takes an interesting turn. Oh wait, what do you want to say?
I just wanted to add, like the money actually came, like the money they gave him. I think he contributed to the money for like buying him, but the money they gave him to like build up his new life, that came from three mechanics who like pooled money together to give it to him. And de Saint-Exupéry, he actually talks about like old women like giving 20 francs and feeling like they really did something great in the world, should should be grateful to them, in comparison to like those mechanics who gave so much of their probably small salary. Like I don't know how much 1,000 francs were back then.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, I guess it was like probably a month, or at least half a month, like probably a month or even
Yeah, let's say
more.
like 1,000 euros right now.
Huh?
Let's say 1,000 euros right now.
Like I would expect it to be even more, but yeah,
Anyway,
that's a large sum of money for those.
significant amount of money. And what happens is that he basically goes to city and gives that money away. He buys golden slippers and gives it to children, like random children in the streets.
I actually really like the description of
Like,
that scene.
Okay, that's not my type of tea, but yeah, that's what happens. It's very like crazy to think from our point of view, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. But I realized one important thing, and it's written in the book. I'm just going to read the quote, which is it's quite a longer quote, but I think it's a really key to understanding the character's development of Bark, why he decides to give all his money to this.
You're using a slave name.
Wait, what is Mohammed? Okay, but
That's
throughout the chapter, it's Bark.
cool.
Okay, so it goes to say, he was free, but in an infinite way, so that he felt weightless above the earth. He lacked that weight of human relationships that inhibits free movement, those tears and farewells, those reproaches and those joys, everything that a man strokes or tears apart each time he forms a gesture, those 1,000 chains that bind him to others and make him heavy. But already Bark, Mohammed, felt the weight of 1,000 hopes. So he loses. And this is very interesting. So what Exupéry is trying to say, as when he was a slave, he was weightless because he didn't have any, farewells and human relationships around him. He was sort of
Wait.
Yeah. This is my understanding of the story.
No, I think he was weightless at the point where he was free, but he didn't have anybody who needed him.
Yeah. But also, okay, I think the process began as he entered slavery because he became disconnected to his homeland and to those chains of relationships, of love, of people, being dependent on you. And then when he leaves, the slavery, when he's bought out, as you said correctly, he doesn't have anyone who needs him. He's not chained up to something. Although these words, and I think this is quite powerful, he's saying people are chained up to others, and to be chained, it sounds it's very negative. I have my family around me. Doesn't mean I'm chained up, that I am like I'm weighted down by them. That sounds very negative. And he's describing it in a positive way, because what Mohammed tries to achieve at the moment is to get this weight, the weight of hopes by all these children that want the golden slippers. So he gets that dependency.
Like he adds to somebody else's well-being.
Yeah,
and he does that in such an immense manner because he like helps so many people at the same time.
Yeah,
when
so
he's on his buying spree.
He creates the dependency, the expectations of others towards him. He becomes human again, and that is again, as we discussed it before,
humanity again. Yeah.
Yeah, to be part of society, to be part of social groups, to precisely have that responsibility towards others, as was in the story of in the snowy mountains and going back to his wife. That's what makes us human, to be a slave. But and that's a quite a turn of the story, that he becomes free. But the ultimate desire, once you're free, is to get chained up again.
To be responsible. I think that's like a term the Saint-Exupéry uses relatively often. Like that, the essence is basically this responsibility. But he doesn't, like, he never tells you to what you should be responsible, what your responsibilities should be. That's something which becomes more of a topic later, like personal truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like freedom to be responsible.
Yeah, and I also find the part that, like, those tears and farewells, those reproaches and those joins, everything that a man strokes or tears apart each time he forms a gesture, so all the good and the bad in our lives that happens with others makes us ultimately human, because it happened because of others, because we are social beings, and that means we are alive. Like, if you were alone on this planet without any other human, you wouldn't be human, because to be human is defined by the difference to animals, to the beasts, to society. But without a society, you become a beast. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So
it's like for Saint-Exupéry, it's always about our shared humanity, about the world we're building together.
Yeah, and that's exactly,
and that wouldn't be possible alone. Yeah.
Why this theme is very relevant right now, when individualism and basically just individualism's so spread out. There's no sense of communities, there's no sense of camaraderie, into this sense. Like, there is, but people seem to be trying to achieve that individual well-being rather than finding pleasures in communities.
Yeah, but I guess they are like different societal currents. I think, for example, like the environmental movement is picking up a lot of steam in recent years. We have like those youth movements like Fridays for Future and stuff like that, which are very much about a shared humanity and about a vision that makes you like stand with others, work for the greater good.
And I have a theory about this, like when you mentioned the environmental movement and stuff like that. I think there are two reasons, or maybe other more, why people seem to be joining these movements. I'm not part of it, although I sympathize with it. And besides having a certain political agenda or moral one, there is this camaraderie that is happening, entering a space of people that feel, the same purpose, that fight for the same thing, that you are like within an army, like, what I'm trying to say.
It's having a purpose together with others. Yeah?
Exactly, a part of a movement.
Create that feeling of camaraderie. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think this is something that we miss so much right now, because everything just became so distant from others, especially right now amidst the pandemic. Working from home, or studying from home. Like, everything just becomes so virtual, and we like touch, we like being together and doing something to it. Doesn't matter what you do as long as you do it together, you know. And I think that's a lesson for right now, for the world around us.